Before we talk about meiosis, I want to briefly go through life cycles. Life cycles involve reproduction, and after reproduction, the generalized survival of the organism in either the haploid or the diploid state. Asexual reproduction is when a single parent produces offspring based on mitosis. The offspring are genetically identical to the parent and to each other. Sexual reproduction is different. Two parents produce offspring based on fusion of gametes that are produced by meiosis. The offspring are not genetically identical to each other or to the parents, and each parent has contributed half of the genetic information. These are the two types of reproduction, and there are some organisms that can go through either type. Any kind of cell division that is a result of mitosis, including asexual reproduction, can occur for organisms that are either haploid or diploid. However, if an organism is going to go through sexual reproduction, a diploid cell has to be formed. This is the case even when haploid organisms go through sexual reproduction. Some organisms can go through both sexual and asexual life cycles, and sometimes it's really complex. I'm going to go through a couple of examples of these life cycles with you. I've got a picture here of a green algae, T. socialis, and this is a protist, a lower eukaryote, undergoing asexual reproduction. This single cell has divided by mitosis to produce two cells, and these two cells are considered asexual offspring. They're genetically identical to the original parent cell. Sexual reproduction is a lot more complex. Humans. These are two organisms that are diploid, two copies of every chromosome, 23 pairs of chromosomes, like we've seen before in that human karyotype. These two individuals started out as a diploid cell, and this diploid cell went through mitosis to create the adult organism that consists of trillions of cells. Most of these cells are the somatic cells, but there is a small subset of cells called the sex cells or the germline cells, and these are the cells that are going to undergo meiosis to produce sperm and egg. There's a set of stem cells in these two tissue types, these two organs, that go through meiosis to produce either egg in the female or sperm in the male that are haploid. These gametes carry 23 chromosomes, and it's a very specific 23. It's one member of each pair. When these two fuse, a diploid cell is formed, and this diploid zygote is a very temporary state. Mitosis produces lots and lots of diploid cells until we finally get the multicellular adult. Now, some organisms exist as haploid as an adult. Still, two haploid organisms can create haploid gametes. Gametes fuse to form the diploid offspring, and the diploid cell here undergoes meiosis to produce haploid offspring. Then there are the organisms that go through both diploid and haploid stages and undergo both asexual and sexual reproduction. The fern that you're used to seeing is in the diploid state. The diploid cell within this mature sporophyte goes through meiosis to produce haploid spores. The haploid spores germinate to produce a haploid individual called the gametophyte. This is asexual reproduction. This is meiosis leading to the production of haploid offspring. Now, this gametophyte can produce haploid gametes, as can a gametophyte of another organism or self-fertilization within the same organism. These fuse to create a diploid zygote, and the diploid zygote will undergo mitosis to create the diploid sporophyte. So here we have sexual reproduction and also asexual reproduction in the production of the new fern that is genetically identical to the original parent. This organism goes through both a haploid and a diploid state. This asexual reproduction is when meiosis produces gametes that are used to create one type of offspring that is not genetically identical and then it's not diploid, but it does come from one parent. Now, we need to focus on the process of meiosis. We need to focus on how it is that a diploid cell can divide to produce haploid cells. Those haploid cells then used to go through sexual reproduction.